You are watching Access LaPorte County, Channel 97. Coming up next is in September 13th, 2024 meeting of the Long Beach Building Commission. You can find more information for this meeting by visiting www.accesslaportecounty.org.
Sir. All right. We'll call the meeting to order at 1 p.m. This is the regularly scheduled meeting of the Long Beach Building Commission, September 13, 2024. First up is roll call. Bob LeMay. Here. Anita Remens.
Here.
Ken Klausner. Here. Joy Schmidt.
Here.
Pete Bible.
Yeah.
Joe Jackman's not here. Carter's here. Next up is the acceptance of the minutes from the previous meeting from July. Is there a motion to approve those, or?
I'll move to approve.
Oh, sorry, no, August. Okay, August meeting, sorry. We have a motion to approve. Is there a second? Second by Pete. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Next up is the commissioner's report. For the month of August, we had 45 permits with construction costs of $1,642,757, which generated fees of $17,499. We received 168 calls on permits under information requests. We only had one floodplain webinar this last month. Any questions or comments on the commissioner's report? Being none, we'll move on to old business. MS4 requirements. We do have a couple things that we have to do before the end of the year to satisfy our permit. Public outreach is one, which will be having some handouts made for the trunk or treat here at the new public safety building. And I'm going to get with Honor and we'll update and publish our BMP manual, which is best management practices for stormwater control. The coastal resiliency groups, I have nothing to report. I don't know if anybody, does anybody else? No, building department software, I think we probably got 2 trainings left. And our goal is to get this so that everybody that registers new permits in 2025 will be done online. There will be a learning curve for everybody. The public as well as all the members of the commission will have access to the site. And I know Honor's really looking forward to being able to answer everybody's questions. Okay.
Did you want to mention the trunk or treats, the public outreach? Did you, because I see them. You did already?
Yeah.
Must have been. Maybe I was shutting the door.
It took you a while. Next up on old business is 1902 Monrovia. That was at the BZA, and the BZA has approved. It was a front setback issue. You might want to speak to that.
Yeah, so what the BZA 2 nights ago approved was basically the roof overhang measuring 3 feet by 29 feet wide, steps measuring 4 feet deep by 7 feet wide. The front setback encroachment shall not exceed 4.5 feet for the overhang, that's 4 feet 6 inches, and 6 inches for the steps. So as long as you guys are aware of that and they don't need anything else, they'd already submitted a permit some months ago, and I don't think that permit has changed.
No. So with the BZA approval of the requested variance, it meets all of the other standards. So I don't see any reason why it wouldn't be approved. Any discussion?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Pete, seconded by Bob. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. 2207 Chastleton. Carter and I met. Carter actually met with the homeowner and the contractor in the last couple of weeks, at least twice, I think. Carter issued another couple of citations this past week. Carter and I both met with the owner yesterday and explained to the owner what we had in hand was the application, the drawings, and their site plan. So we explained to the owner what we felt was outside of the permit. What we understood or know is work that was not on the permit. So he agreed to remove the sections along oaken wall that are in the setback and were not on the permit. And he is going to, there were some other items that were not on the permit, and the driveway is wider than what was shown on the permit. So he is going to do with his contractor, he's going to do the calculations. And I told him that if he's under 35%, he can revise his permit or send it up an additional permit in. But if he's over the 35%, that we cannot approve it and it would have to be removed. So we expect to get that early next week.
So is this, is he gonna have a survey done? When we talk about 35%, on what basis are you doing that?
He has a survey, Pete, but the work that was,
No, I'm familiar with the situation.
Okay. He has a survey, and so I told him, I said, you have to count all the coverage that you have here. Some things that were done, there's an outcropping retaining wall along both the Chastleton side and the Oakenwald side, and those are not even on the drawings. So I said, you can't just do work when you get a permit, doesn't give you an open working relationship. We gave you a permit based on what you submitted, and you've done more work. So there's a stop work order out there right now, and there are 2 open citations as well. So those will have to be resolved before they can continue, as well as the coverage issues.
So what does the stop work do? Let's talk about stop work.
What does it mean? Does it mean no work? Period? Stop work?
Yes, I
Including,
mean, it should,
including landscaping?
absolutely.
Okay, well, they were landscaping yesterday.
When did you issue the stop work order, Carter? So yes, they should not be working. I mean, in my opinion, a stop work order means you stop work.
Yes, I'm being rhetorical. But I want to get clear, and maybe we need to make it clear, because it is not the first time we've issued a stop work order, and work continues. And there's going to be another one coming up later that's happened several times. And there's always some BS about this, that, or I didn't know. So first, we need to enforce it. And 2, I think we need to inform people in some way. Maybe it's on the stop work order itself. It says all stops, period. Anybody disagree with that?
It's clear. The issue is that we're all motion stop.
Okay,
Okay, so is there a way we can modify the actual stop work order?
the stop work order that we use is just basically a sheet that says stop work order. I don't, and I'm doing this from memory, I don't think we have anything written on the back of it. Honor, do you know if there's anything written on the back of it?
No.
It's just, it just says stop work order, and then there's usually I don't know if it's, I think we put the date on it. And, the address, that's it. Maybe we should, I think what you're suggesting is that we have some additional information on there that just says all work must stop, no work can carry on.
Including landscaping, including whatever. And I'll be glad to work with Honor to do that.
Okay,
Let's go on and main options.
okay. Next up is the 2933 Belle Plaine Trail. That's a shed. They have told Carter, I have not met them. They've told Carter that they are gonna go to the BZA. The issue here is twofold. Number one, they worked without a permit. And number two, not only they work without a permit, they're encroaching into setbacks. So a citation was issued for working without a permit, and we haven't heard anything else. I don't know if anybody has any suggestion to what we do. So what they did was they want to put a shed in, so they brought in sand, and gravel and made a pad for the shed in their backyard. That's how we found out about it. The neighbor called us and said, I think that whatever they're putting in is on the neighbor's property. So Carter went over there, talked to the people, and issued a citation for working without a permit. And also that they did put a permit in, and the shed is too large for the lot. So they said they were gonna go to the BZA. I don't know what you guys want us to do about it. I don't think that I have not seen anything come before the BZA that suggests that they are asking for a variance. I go by there frequently. The shed has not been placed.
So when the citation was issued, who was the contractor?
There's two things, and maybe I'll let Carter speak to this because he actually spoke to the people.
So it's just a shed place that actually told me they were just chopping a shed. But then they started doing construction by putting the gravel, and that's when I put the stop work order. But the owners had told me was they planned on putting a 12 by 10 shed in, and it's a 10,000 square foot lot, so it should be 1%, which makes it a 10 by 10 shed. I informed them of that, and said they need to go to the BZA if they wanted a bigger shed than a 10 by 10.
And this, let's see, look at this, okay, and this is clearly less than 35%?
No, it would fall in 35%. It would fall in the 35%. It's just, we have an ordinance that says 1% of the.
No, I understand. Yes, I understand that, but I mean, is them placing a shed here, is it going to exceed the 35%?
No.
Okay,
So you've already been cited for working without a permit. And as for the shed company, I wasn't there, the shed company was there. So.
Well, I think.
Well, I didn't see it's the gravel off.
Right,
You know.
and the citation has been issued.
To the homeowner.
Okay, and the contract,
I'm not even sure who the contractor is, he's not on the
okay. Well, but somebody did the work, right?
No, the shed itself they purchased a shed.
Right.
So the shed company is gonna come and drop the shed off. What Carter cited and saw was that they would put a base in for the shed.
Understood.
And that was the owners themselves that did that.
Okay.
That's why he cited the owners and gave them a stop work order.
Okay.
Was it resolved that there was an encroachment on the neighbor's property with the proposed location?
We haven't received anything back to tell us that it is not encroaching on the neighbor's property. They just haven't been responsive to what number one, our citations. I'm not sure if they've been paid or not. I doubt that they've been paid. There's no work has been done since we put a stop work order in, but they haven't been responsive to us as far as, giving us what we need to make a decision on their permit, which would be the lot coverage calculations, the setback distances, and the size of the shed. So I guess all we can do is just continue to monitor it.
It's another issue of information here. There seems to be an inordinate number of people who have no idea that they're supposed to get billed. Can the town somehow communicate something that says construction requires a permit? Anybody?
Was that part of the chief's quarterly letter? I think that it was, if I recall, that was part of it, the quarterly newsletter that she sent out.
And
But we can clearly send out an email blast.
that's an email.
Yeah, we can send out an email blast. We have about 1,000 residents on our email list.
Can we put it on the water bill?
I don't know.
The water bills either go out or is it all there?
No, I think they go.
Signs up for telling all the contractors they must be registered.
Yes,
So everybody sees that, and at the time of registration, I assume these contractors are told, or maybe should know already, that before you do work, you have to have a permit, right?
Right.
But it's not working.
Well, here you have a situation, it's the home, not a contractor. It's true.
rarely, at least in my tenure here, most contractors know that you have to get a permit. I mean, that's part of the nature of the beast. As far as homeowners, it's one of the reasons, Bob, why you guys all know this, why we changed the fees from $100 to $500, because it got to the point where people didn't care. They just pay $100 for the no permit, $100 for a non-registered contractor. I think we've cut down on a lot of that, but there are still some, just like, the 2207 situation is a situation where they applied for a permit. We told them what they can do, and they did outside of that. The shed situation, I don't know why they didn't know. I mean, whether they thought they could just go buy a shed. Most people that do work understand that permits are necessary because they've been fined if they don't have permits. It certainly wouldn't hurt if we were to send, as Pete mentioned, either on the water bill, or I can ask Mark to send out in his next, is it a quarter? I don't even know, is it a quarterly newsletter? Just to make sure.
Or maybe Megan could do an email blast.
Put it on the website too.
Yeah.
Okay, next up under old business is 2226 Oriole Trail. So this has been an ongoing thing. I have talked to the owners on several occasions. We've just traded emails back and forth. The concern here has been that the work being done on the property exceeds 35%. So to give everybody a little background, at the start of the job, well, when the job was we first got the permit came in, and what they were proposing wasn't acceptable because of setbacks. So they came in with the second permit, the landscaper did, and had corrected so that permit was within the ordinances. The building commission approved the permit, the work was being done. We received a complaint about the work that someone thought that it was over the setbacks. So we went out and met with the landscaper, talked to the owner, and that was rectified. They changed the work. They had actually had to remove some of the work, and then it was put back to within the setbacks, or outside of the setbacks, I'm sorry. So then the work proceeded. There was also work on the interior of the house that was being done. So the work proceeded, and there was a complaint or a concern that the coverage was being exceeded. So I spoke to the owners, Pat O'Neill, Pat and Paige are on the call right now. But I spoke to Pat on several occasions about getting a survey, and Pat tried to get the people that did his original survey, I think it was Sawyer. And they were not responsive. I gave him the name of a couple other surveyors and he got a hold of Fate. And Fate gave him a date, which is actually, I talked to Pat this morning, I think it's next week's, either next week or the week after. And that unfortunately is what happens here in the LaPorte County area for surveyors. They are stretched out. So there's been several emails back and forth between Pat and myself, which I had copied everybody on the commission about making sure that they are, the O'Neills are inside or under at or under the 35%. And one of those was a proposal for a turf stone, which is blocks that are set in the ground and grass grows between them. And I expressed to Pat that we still count those as coverage. So they're going to make sure that they can meet coverage, they're going to put grass in their driveway, and they're doing away with one of the walks on the side of the house. So this morning when I was talking to Pat, and he told me about the date for the survey, I suggested, or Pat and I talked and suggested that he get a survey of what's there now, and a survey of what to include on that, an overlay of what their proposed coverage would be if they take the driveway out and put it in grass, and to make sure that they meet the 35%. And then Pat understands that the O'Neills understand that is the goal, is to meet the 35%.
Yeah, but this is another situation here where we issued a stop work order, the work has been done in this house several occasions. I've taken pictures of it, and sent it. And that's why I'm asking about what stop work order means.
Well, I mean, what I can say again, what I spoke of, the concern that reached us was that they were over their coverage. And there has been no work on the exterior since then, at least that I'm aware of, Pete. I don't know if you had mentioned that there were some plumbing trucks there. I don't know if the plumbing trucks were doing some repair. They rehabbed the entire house.
I understand, but the issue is, how do we compel somebody to fulfill their obligations to the town, to the building commission, whatever it is, and honor a stop work? We just said everything stops. So now here's, did we get a permit for redoing all the plumbing in the house?
Yes, that was in the original permit.
That's a good thing. But still, stop order should not, it's not like we've been, being tight on the time frame. This has been going on for 600 months or longer. That it was in the winter, or early spring, we were looking at the bedding stuff.
Yes.
So we've given them ample time to get a survey, to get it done, and we've got enough. And now we're having questions about permeable bricks. And part of the work that was done, that was done after the was to decrease the amount of open land. So I said, parking space out front was expanded. So that's the frustration I'm getting. And I think, we got to solve it. And the way we need to solve it is once the stop work order is issued, first of all, we put very clear what a stop work order means. Second thing is, once a stop work order is issued, we make regular calls on that place. Not, on the thing they're gonna, but we make regular calls. Daily, if we have the police, whatever it is. That's what I think is the only way we're gonna solve this issue.
Larry, you said that they were gonna park on the grass instead of the driveway. Or I do the.
No, they were gonna put turf or grass on instead of the driveway. The driveway would put them over the coverage, and the turf block we consider coverage. So what they're gonna do is you prepare the soil and the base so that you can plant grass on it and drive on it, and you don't get ruts on it.
Right, but our ordinance say we have to have 2 hard surface parking place spaces, 10 by 20 feet. So if they don't have that, then that won't apply to our ordinance.
Well, I think that I don't know, I didn't measure it. I think their driveway does have 2 spaces.
But it's not gonna be turf.
Right, but it'll be set for a driveway, that's where they'll park.
So is that hard surface parking places? I guess
that's debatable, but I don't know because it's never come up before.
the more we talk about this, the more it sounds like we need all the information to look at it. Because there's just seems to be an awful lot of issues there. And I think until we get all that information, I think that stop work order to stop all work needs to be in effect.
Okay, well, I can get with, Pat and get the information on the turf situation. Then I think it's gonna be a catch-22 if, hard surface in my eyes is asphalt, concrete, stone, that type of thing.
Yeah. And if we can't come to a conclusion if we have all the information or we deny that all the information, that's what the BZA is for.
Okay. All right, well, I will, I won't do it today, I'll do it next week. I'll get with Pat and we'll get the information on the turf or the grass that he's talking about using. And,
Excuse me, are we able to participate? Because we're, both Pat and myself are here, and I just want to clarify a couple items that are being discussed because I think it'll streamline a solution. But if we're not allowed to speak, I'm happy to go about it another way, but it feels like the building commission and Larry are present, so it probably could be a good time to just finalize something. But I just need to provide a few clarifications first.
yeah, usually what happens is we have our discussion and then we may ask you for something. There actually is a time for public comment, but on specific projects, when we're discussing here, certainly I can ask you guys, or tell you what we think and what you obviously heard what we're going to expect. So if you want to hold on for a second. Anybody else? Okay, go ahead, Paige.
Hi, like I said, I'm Paige O'Neill. My husband, Pat O'Neill, is also on. First of all, just a couple things that I wanted to clarify. We are planning on finalizing still all of the work that was reflected in our permit. And in order to proceed, we're happy to provide a survey. As we said, we ordered one. We know that in the current state, since we are not completed with our work outdoors, that we are over the 35. We are working diligently to finalize a plan to get under 35. And I think what we're struggling with is the guidelines of what counts towards coverage and what doesn't count towards coverage. Most municipalities will provide guidance. Most link it to permeable, non-permeable. We've since discovered that the board doesn't necessarily delineate that way, which we can again work within the bounds of, but it's very difficult to finalize thousands of dollars of work. And I want to remind you, surveys also cost thousands of dollars that we're providing you. So we're happy. We want to finish this. We want to be in compliance and we want to do so as soon as possible. But without any guidelines of what counts towards coverage and what doesn't from the town of Long Beach, it's very difficult. I want to reiterate too, I've never received a stop order. So the notion that we've continued work after receiving a stop order is false unless someone delivered something to an address that I am not aware of. We've never received a stop order. So I just want to also clarify that we've never continued work outside of a stop order.
Okay, thanks, Paige. So we'll get all the information from you. We'll present it to the board. And as far as the ordinances are concerned, I'll send you a copy of the ordinance on the coverage. It's appendix BA in the, in our ordinances. You can search online through the town and what is considered coverage. I'm not sure the exact number, but I'll send that to you guys.
Larry, can you repeat that? Because both, everyone has tried to review the ordinances and I have not found that. So that's very helpful that now you're pointing to that. What is it, appendix?
It's appendix A.
Great.
If you go to the website, longbeachin.org, and go to government, and there's a tab that says town ordinances. When you hit that town ordinance, a screen comes up that has a lot of, you could search the entire ordinance, or you can, up on top, you can hit a link to American Legal Publishing. And if you open that up and just type in appendix A, that will bring you right to the coverages, what's allowed. It's a chart. And also when you're searching, you can search through there I'm not exactly sure of the ordinance number that deals with coverage. And it explains in there what the town considers coverage.
If that exists, this might solve our entire problem. I apologize that there's frustration. We were looking for information in order to be in compliance. And if that can solve it, then we'll be sure to make sure this is taken care of. And after that, provide a survey to show we're in compliance.
No, good, thanks.
I just want to raise, but you had a contract on this, and a survey was submitted to us that claimed that the structures were less than 35% of coverage. So I'm confused as to who calculated this and who communicated this, because it was clear in the documents sent to us that it was, the coverage was purported to be less than 35%. So
those are all of our proposed fixes to get under 35%.
They're not actual surveys, they're diagrams showing you our plans in order to get to 35 or under percent. Also, I do want to clarify, in talking to a few different surveyors, the way that they calculate coverage, our original one is more on permeable versus non-permeable. So that's where there's a disconnect with the town ordinance versus what a survey that you might be provided. So I also just want to point that out, that there's conflicting opinions of what it is. Again, we're happy to follow town ordinance. We just need to know what it is and we will take care of it.
Okay, Fate understands what the town does, so you guys are in good hands with your surveyor.
This was a stop work issue.
Pardon me?
Was a stop work issue,
Yes, I don't know the date and time of the bill.
or where it was sent to,
Pardon me?
or where it was delivered to?
I'm assuming it was delivered to the house.
I have standard ones that I put out, but ones that got fallen off or.
Okay,
We can't have a stop work order to be in compliance. So just to also be aware of that,
let's just move forward. Let's just move forward with the survey and see if we can't get this behind us. Okay, next up is new business, 6001 Lakeshore Drive. When I first saw this, I didn't really understand what they were doing, but this permit was sent in to us some time ago. And because of constraints on the economics of the job, they didn't do this. What they're doing is, over the existing flat roof on the existing structures, they're framing a new pitched roof. There's no increase in footprint, and they are under the 33 feet, so it meets all our ordinances.
Farming property?
Pardon me? Actually, I think that the property is non-conforming from the side setback on Indianapolis Boulevard, but it's, the work is over the existing footprint.
But if it's not a farm property, because of
setback issues, we're going from a flat roof to a pitched roof. That's going to increase the volume of the structure. Is it increasing the volume of the structure within the setback? Because you're not allowed to do that.
That's a good point, Bob. I'll have to check that.
I think until we know what they're doing, we probably need to put this on hold.
Yeah, I would be able to tell from looking at Beacon right now to see, that doesn't give me lot lines. I'll have to do some research and I'll bring that back to you guys. 3100 Lakeshore Drive Landscaping. Carter is gonna meet with the owner. They submitted a drawing that it really doesn't show, it's not a site plan, so we can't act on this right now. 2207 Floormont. They're enclosing this is under the roof of an existing home. It's actually a front porch, and they're enclosing it. It's not in the setbacks. It meets all of our requirements.
Meets all the requirements, is that correct?
That's right. Is that a motion? Is that a motion?
Yeah.
I'll second.
Motion by Ken, seconded by Joy.
Is that exceeded that? Tickets this weekend for the citation, is that right?
2207? No. No, the neighbor was issued a citation.
Okay.
Any other discussion? All those in favor, aye. Opposed, same sign. 2019 Melrose, same thing, we need a site plan for that. 2900 Oriole Trail. We had a permit to remove a dilapidated garage on the property that was sitting on top of concrete block walls. So it was an existing shed / garage, and this is to replace that. It was already removed. So it meets, it's a remove and replace. It's just they submitted 2 permits because the shed people is a different company.
Motion to approve.
Bob, is there a second? Pete, all those in favor? Opposed, same sign.
Can I speak about 2019 Melrose? You guys not exactly before I could ask your question. You said you needed a site.
Yeah. Let's see what it looks like.
All they're doing is sticking to this because they have years before. And there's the wooden stairway that goes down the road. They want to allow part of it and get that stairway across the front yard. That way they won't walk into the street. It's just going in the direction.
Let's see what we have here. Yeah, that's the problem. This was not submitted to us with the permit. If it's removal and replace of existing, well, Carter and I are gonna have to get with you. Are you the owner or the?
No, I'm still in for Chuck.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't look at your face. Okay. Yeah, that's what's gonna have to happen. Chuck did not submit that with the drawing, so we wouldn't consider anything if we don't have all the stuff. So how about you and I and Carter get together next week with Chuck and we'll get this figured out.
Chuck will be in, like I said, he's got things to do, but I can.
Okay. All right. We'll do that next week.
Okay, is that something, does that have to wait the next meeting or is that something?
It depends. If it's a remove and replace, we can approve it without the rest of the board.
Okay, fair enough.
Something to consider is if the existing property is over 35% lot coverage, moving that lot may not be allowed.
Right. I mean, we have to look at, right, we have to look at everything on there to see if it's just a remove and replace and it's not something that's, a non-conforming property, but we won't be able, we can't tell that. Okay, thanks. Here.
Want me to contact you then, or
Yeah, that would probably be the best thing, either Carter or I said,
Chuck in your cell, I'll show you what you need.
sure.
Okay.
2110 Oriole Trail. We asked for, is anybody here for 2110?
Yeah.
Okay, come on up.
We gotta make sure everybody's identified themselves and address. And
Yeah,
mic.
stand at the microphone. If you hit that button up there, make sure it's on. Okay, it's on. You gotta tell us who you are and where you live.
Jack Ruane, 2110 Oriole Trail.
Okay, so this permit is to, install a deck adjacent to a sliding door on the property. There were some pictures that came, there was a survey that was shown and some pictures that came, but there were no coverage calculations. I think Jack has coverage calculations here.
Yes.
By just seeing the property, it is well under the coverage, but they provided the calculations today, which is, puts it at 16%. So that meets our ordinances. Anybody have any question?
See a citation issue, what was that?
No, I don't think a citation was issued.
And from Deanna, the admission ticket issued September 10th, outstanding ticket 2110.
Ticket to 2110.
Is it 2110 Oriole? Okay, okay. All right. Anybody have any questions on this? Entertain a motion to approve.
I'll do it.
Pete, second. Joy. All those in favor, aye. All same sign. Okay, you're all set. Thank you. Twenty 2013 Lakeshore Drive. So this, we went back and forth on this. I've talked to the owner, I've met with the contractor, and I went out to the job. It was yesterday morning or Wednesday. The concern was that the drawings in the site plan didn't match. I talked to the architect and she sent us the correct drawings that show that they do now match. And the work is outside of the 15-foot setback on Lakeshore Drive. So it meets all of our,
Lakeshore Drive, the front setback is
15 feet. Anybody have any questions on this one? Motion to approve. Make a motion. Ken, second.
Second.
Joy, all those in favor? Both same sign. Uh, 2917 Bell Plain Trail. Remember this one, Carter? Page 17, this is the one with the hot tub,
This is, how big.
and they meet all of our ordinances and the coverage. I think, was it coverage calculations we were meeting? Did you get those?
Will we get coverage calculations?
Yes, Carter got it.
And we're adding a hot tub.
They're adding a deck with a hot tub on top of the deck.
They have the coverage calculations in here. It's under secondary structure and walkway and walls, which is 380 square feet.
They're 32.7 for coverage.
Survey.
Yes,
This is just a plan.
well, it's a site plan, and this is the line, the property line here.
So it's that outer line.
No, it's actually the inner dash line. So this is right away here. See, that's line.
35%.
It looks just, I call it. It's small.
What do you want? Do you want us to have them redo the calculations and show us parses, pieces and parts?
All the capital is.
Okay,
And if it is, then I think it can be good.
okay.
I'm with that property. So I don't know anything I can answer for you. Carter was out yesterday and we walked through it and looked at all the stuff.
Yeah, just tell us who you are.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm Maria Mole, 2917 Belle Plaine Trail. And Carter came out yesterday and we went through the site plan and looked at the calculations. So just curious to see what else is needed.
I think there's a question as to the coverage calculations. And I think one of the problems is the way the lot coverage is listed here. The deck and the hot tub area are not actually listed. So usually what Carter has a sheet has to speak that.
We did go through that yesterday, yeah.
And on the drawing itself, it doesn't list that what you're adding specifically. Normally would be what the existing is and what your new coverage is.
Okay.
Box.
We have that, Carter, can I get that to you yesterday?
Yeah, what do they like? For existing, we have secondary structure.
Yeah, isn't the secondary structure what we're talking about? It's listed on there.
Well, a secondary structure is 33 feet, 20 by 18 is 360 square feet.
Yeah.
So there's,
3.7, 3 is 3.
okay, and I guess the basic problem that happens is these coverage calculations don't match what the permit says. So when it comes to us and you look at this, there's nothing that says that matches your permit. So the permit's asking for a deck and a hot tub. These coverage calculations don't say walkways and walls is 327 square feet. That doesn't correlate, at least in my mind, to a deck. So if these coverages are correct, what I would like to have you do is correct the coverages and bring them back to us. And if the board says today that if those match what you have here, that we can approve it, then it's okay. You understand the dilemma? That these numbers don't, there's nothing, it's pretty easily viewed by your drawing to see that you're adding 360 square feet. There's nothing on here that says deck 360 square feet. There's a secondary structure of 33 feet, which I don't know what that is. And there's walkways and walls. Well, a deck is a walkway and a wall. So do you understand what the problems that we're having is?
Yeah, I'm just
Okay.
confused because like I said, Carter was out yesterday and I thought we had clarified what we needed.
Yeah.
Well, no matter what, the building commission makes the decision. Carter tries to help you compile, but regardless, the deadline for the application's a week before today's meeting. And having all of those things of what you need to submit, that train little bit left the station. So
Well, that's-
it always puts Carter in a quandary because he's trying to help you understand. So I just want to make sure though, it's not misunderstood that Carter is somehow giving any permission, because he doesn't do that.
No, but we submitted this
I
in
think,
July.
I think we can get it taken care of. I just, what we need you to do is where it says lot coverage.
So who do I talk to about that? Who calculates that?
Who did this for you?
The person who, drew up the deck.
Okay, so
He's a landscape
what they
architect.
need to do is the same thing that's done on here, where it says lot coverage,
Mm-hmm,
and list what you have existing and what your proposed is.
mm-hmm.
And make sure that there's something on there that matches what you're asking to do. Okay, because nothing on there matches it. Okay?
So we also need to, the actual lot size, there's a discrepancy there. And sometimes Beacon is not right. Beacon indicates it's about 15,660, and that's 16 is not. So we need, how do they need to come up with the lot size?
From the plan survey, I believe,
Right.
that they had done. John Russell, yeah.
So what John, if John did this drawing for you, it's very easy for John to take, this is on his computer. So he can come in here and he can take any of these areas and tell you exactly what it is. And if you give that, provide that to us with, that coincides with the 360 is what you're asking for,
Mhm.
it will be pretty simple for us.
Okay,
That's what we need. And John can do that in probably 10 minutes.
so I don't need to wait until October
No.
2nd.
Well, as long as the
It's
commission.
up to these guys, if they decide, that, then we'll ask them in a second, if they decide that the permit can be approved, if that information is correct, then we'll see what happens. If they don't, then we'll have to wait till the October meeting. Okay,
Thank you.
thanks.
So help me with the calculation of lot size. That's an odd shaped lot. What was the basis for the idea of expanding the lot? There's the Beacon way, and then there's that way. So what do you think that way works?
Well, historically, or not historically, normally, let me see if I can bring this up on the screen and it would probably help. So this drawing was done, according to the owner, it was done by John Rubel. So in the corner down here, he's got the lot coverages and he lists the lot size at 16,161. So normally what that would do, if the surveyor may have that on his survey. This is not a copy of the survey, but what this architect or this landscape architect did was he put the survey on his CAD so he could do his design work. And this dotted line on the top is the lot line and it comes down here. And I'm
Okay, so then there's an original survey behind this.
I would expect that there is, yes. It's a new house, so they had to have a survey. I can't find that. It's a new house, so they had to have a survey when the new house was done. So there's two ways that they can come back with the lot coverages. They can go to whoever did their survey and ask them to do it. Or they can do it, John Rubel can do it, the landscape architect. And,
Well, if they have a survey and Google can say that I did it there and shows that comes.
sure,
I just, when I see these odd shaped lots, I'm curious as to who and when, that's kind of fun. Why don't you guys give us your certain,
This is, you had this in the original, this is the survey from Kate, the original survey.
Right, but what we have, is that what was submitted with your,
Yes, it was.
so it's back to the same thing. So this is a survey that was done by the actual surveyor. This survey was copied onto the landscape drawing. This survey doesn't show, the one from Fate doesn't show the lot coverages. This survey from the John Rubel put on his drawing, he calculated the lot coverages from that transfer of the survey. I certainly would trust the calculations that John Rubel does. We just need them to be correct.
good,
Okay, thanks. Right, so we'll entertain a motion to approve this, subject to the receipt of the proper calculations and that they meet our ordinances.
we'll make that.
Pete, second.
I'll second.
Joy, all those in favor? Opposed, same sign. Next, 1610 Nichols Court. That's a new home. We've seen this a couple of times before, from different, we saw it from the architect, we saw it from the owner. And,
Would we ever get the site plan?
there is, I didn't we have that big site plan? Is that,
Yeah.
I notice on coverage, it says 26% impervious.
I'm gonna hand this down to Bob. I think the problem was this didn't come on the PDF, but. We didn't get the PDF of the site plan. Oh, wait, maybe we did, hold on, site and demo.
didn't come to me and.
That's because you're special. I'm sorry, it did come to us. That's the same thing. Yeah, right in front of you if you want to roll that.
No, that's the different one. That's McNally's.
Yeah, there's some copies. Hold on, I'm gonna pull up on the screen. The one on the right up on the screen shows the existing. And one on the left, which is, see if I can zoom in here. Is the proposed. The right is the proposed, the one on the left is the existing. The one with the purple, where is purple down here, that's the proposed, that's the septic system. So I think maybe a year ago, the Eichelmans came to us with some drawings by a local architect. The architect came with them here. And there were some issues with setbacks on the, where the driveway comes up, where the garage is on the existing structure. They were gonna try to renovate their house. So they went to the BZA and they got an approval to increase the height of their house. I don't remember what it was. I think it may have been 2 feet. So this is a completely, they're not doing anything. This is a tear down of the existing house and a new structure in its place. It meets the setback. You can see the setbacks here. Let me see if I can zoom up. I don't know if you can see that light blue line. This light blue line that comes through here is the side setback of 10 feet. The front setback is 30 feet. The house is well behind that. Their lot, does everybody know where Nichols Court is? It's behind stop 16. That's almost an alley, Nichols Court. So their driveway comes off Nichols Court here. There's a long driveway up to the house. And then the house is in the center, not the center, but it's in the large portion of the back lot. And then there's a new septic system behind the house on the lower side. What's the name of that street, George? Do you remember the street? Do you know? Do you know what it is? Blake's. Pardon me, this is Nichols Court. Blake's is down here. So their property, it's the property is where the house is, it sits high. So Nichols Court, let's say it's an elevation of 0. The house sits up at probably 30 of an elevation. Well, here, you can see right here. Nichols Court is at an elevation of 613. The house is at an elevation of 630. And then when you go back down to Blake's Avenue, it drops down quite a bit. That is at an elevation of 610. So there's a 20-foot drop from the house to Blake's, and there's a 17-foot or 12-foot drop.
So what's this here?
That is Blake's, or I'm sorry, that is,
This is Nichols Court.
this is Nichols Court.
What is this represent? This grade, construction is.
No, that's not, well, it says driveway, but that's not a driveway, that's actually the street.
Yeah.
The only thing here is that the dispersal is just like another one that we looked at, the dispersal area, which is required, the health department requires a separate dispersal area because of the grade of the septic system is on. And there, you can see it in brown, hashed here in brown down below. I say down below, there. This dispersal area is required because if there's failure in the drain field, that would be a requirement. That is a requirement that you have to have a secondary field. And you can see by these topo lines, the purple lines, how fast that drops off there. Each one of those topo lines represents a foot in difference in grade.
So what is this material?
What's the driveway, Gary? You want to come up, Gary?
Gary Green, GL Green Associates. I'm a book builder. The existing drive is asphalt, and we come up and convert to concrete. So there's an existing drive that's servicing the current home.
See,
Off Nichols Court.
on Nichols Court already.
Yes. Yeah, we're tearing down a home that is non-conforming. Definitely across the current setback requirements.
Yes, as I said earlier, the blue lines dashed here represent the setback, and that's the side setback. On the east side, you're 40 feet from the setback. On the rear, which is a 20-foot setback, it's probably, I don't know if it's dimensioned here or not. Well, you're 10 foot to or 11 foot to the septic is 10, and dispersal there is another 10, so you're 40 foot from the back lot line.
Unfortunately, we had water line, city water line cuts through the middle of the property, so it restricted.
Oh, well, then you can't get it permanently.
No,
Hold on, I'm just gonna pull a picture up so I can show everybody what we're talking about here. It's hard to understand the different, Here. That's about the best I can do for you guys, so. See the one that's highlighted in red right now? You can see where it borders on Nichols Court. There's a long driveway that comes off Nichols Court on the narrow section. This is the existing house right here, comes back to here. Then this is blanks down here, and the existing septic, hold on, see if I can get rid of this. The existing septic, it was all torn up, and it's way down here, but the county gave them a new permit for that. So they're taking, this is non-conforming right now, so they're taking out the entire house and gonna build what's proposed here. I can probably give you some pictures here.
Why is it non-conforming now?
Because it's almost on. If you look at this, Pete. Yeah. It's on the setback here, this extends, it's too close here, so they're doing away with all that. None of these pictures really, you can't tell that. This section here, this is Nichols, this is Blinks. Everybody see that, understand what we got going on? So it meets all of our ordinances.
I think all the ordinances can do so.
Yes.
Yes.
And from the calculations from the surveyor.
Correct. They're on the front here, 26%. It says impervious, but it's, if you add them all up, that's the entire, it's the lot's 15,933 and the coverage is 4,204.
I move to
16%.
approve.
Anita or Joy?
I'll second.
Ken? All those in favor, aye. Aye. Both same sign. All set, thank you. Uh, 3100 Lakeshore Drive. I'm seeing a lot of people here and I don't see enough things left. What are you here for?
1806 Ridgemore, all wet number 27.
Okay, so you're here.
26.
You, okay. You're here.
I'm not, you know, from Monroe, but you handled me a long time ago, but I just enjoyed the show.
What's wrong with
Walk out with someone else.
I heard 2108 and, I'm not sure if you read that.
Did we already do this? I don't have 2108 Avenue.
Larry, I will say on number 23, the 3100 Lakeshore Drive, I can't find any information. I never got a permit or anything. I can't find anything.
I'm sorry, Joanne, which one?
3100 Lakeshore Drive, Shoreland Hills Association Extend Deck. I never got anything else.
So you don't have to stay here. I don't have anything on 2108. Honor, is that something you? Oh, there you go.
You're right. August 2nd.
All right, 3100. Is that next? And I know next here. Oh, yes. Nick, did you call it something else? What did you put it on? What is your permit? What does the permit say?
Oh, it's 31 picture.
Is that what the permit?
I know.
You have it? Ken,
Yes. Yeah, that's one on the second.
no, that's 2965 Ridge Road. Do you have 31? Yeah, it came in on August 2nd. I don't know why I don't have another 3100.
Maybe you have another staff or anyone?
I don't know. I'm trying to, the reason what I'm doing is I'm trying to bring it up on the screen.
Yeah, sure.
Okay,
When did you send it?
August 5th,
August 5th. All right.
McKinley Design. Sorry,
Is that what it's under?
yes. It's August 5th, McKinley Design.
All right. Hold on. Well, I'm looking for this. So this is stop 31. There's an existing deck at the stop. And the Shoreland Hills Association wants to enlarge the deck. You just bear with me here.
Is the deck in the back?
It's on Lakeshore Drive. There we go.
It's the staff.
So, given that this.
Okay, that's the permit.
This is property. This,
Yes,
we don't have, we have ownership in this municipality. This municipality typically sent, permit requests to do this kind of thing. But I mean, I just want to ensure the town of Long Beach involved also. Besides.
sure. That's above my pay grade.
This is the red, this is the red.
So you're, no, this is the
Stop
I
31.
got it up on the screen, people.
Oh, it's the.
Shoreland Hills.
This is, right, this is stop 31. This is the Shoreland.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so right now, this Moore Road is down here, obviously Lakeshore Drive is running along here.
Is there a question of ownership on this property?
Well, it's all that down. I'm sorry, all that down one.
It's,
Put it red, it's so.
that's been documented then.
Yeah, that's.
I don't know about,
So I would say, well,
I mean, you have a representative here, that they can pitch, right? And that's, if they want
you
to.
want to come up, Victor, just tell us who you are.
Hi, Mick Wells for Shoreland Hills. So this property is owned by Shoreland Hills.
No, I don't think so. It's owned by the town dedicated to use of this property. The short hills subdivision number 2. We did not take ownership, it's owned by the town. And Short Hills has the right to use it, it's dedicated to that subdivision.
At its origin, this was done, at its origin, this was done.
Yes, as origin,
So look, and if I can interject, because this is a continued question, but, and I don't want to speak for Mr. Wells, but I would presume, and we all have learned over the years, you can't rely just because Beacon says so, that it makes it so, right? So, if you go to Beacon, it says Shoreland Hills Property Association owns that lot. Correct. I believe that the building commission would say, but not speak for you and or the town and others may believe that based on the historical documents and the original plat, that lot that was preserved forever and always to the public. And something in between there is gonna need to be determined. So to follow what Pete's saying, I understand what your representation is, and I think that's probably an issue that everybody's gonna have to decide where you're going with that.
Okay, the town, even if the town, I would say the town, if it's so-called transfer or something like that.
Yes.
The town never went through the proper, any proper procedure, transfer a piece of public property. When the spot is, we can make that again, my issue.
Sure, and I can't speak to that. I guess my point would be if the town owns it, your position as the building commission owns it or has the overriding interest, you don't have the authority to grant any permission subject to the town council agreeing, and allow that as you have done and granted other permissions or access easements or those kinds of things. Yeah, based on what you're saying, and I understand your position, and I'm not advocating for one position or the other. The issue, one of the threshold issues you have in every project that comes before you, which is why you ask for deeds, proof of ownership, surveys, so that you can see encroachments, et cetera, is the basis of ownership. And here, if you go back to the origin, there are some transfers, there are some deeds that exist for short, that shows ultimately where you are today, as he's represented to you, that there's a deed somewhere where there's some money paid, consideration paid, and there's a deed to Shoreland Hills Property Association. However, what isn't clear is where those came from before the predecessors that alleged to be predecessors in title, and or if you go back to original plats of survey that are many years ago, say that property was dedicated to the public for beach access, among other things.
You or somebody else go back through 40 minutes of meeting.
Well, it's not our,
Council, basically, we can ask Shoreland to produce a deed. Is that correct?
sure, and Mr. Wells is gonna give you the current deed that says Shoreland Hills owns it. I mean, that's what he should do. What everybody needs to do is feel comfortable. He can present to you and represent that they own it, and you have to decide if that's sufficient proof of ownership or whether you want to go first. So the issue today is, you know, where you stand on that issue, because again, I don't want to speak for Mr. Wells, but I also don't want to waste his time. He can easily have Larry pull up Beacon or present you the deed that when they paid their consideration in the 90s or the 2000s, wherever it was, that they got a deed. From your position, that doesn't necessarily make it so, and there may be issues, but those aren't today.
So the first step would be to get the deed.
Proof of ownership, for sure.
There was sorry, attorney, did what do you call it, search or whatever it was on this very issue. And so that document exists on the town here. The files, and it was done in the last 8 years. And that's when it represented. But the town dedicated the use of that property to the Shoreland Hills subdivision. So that was supposed to be to Shoreland Hills.
Yeah, there's some different.
What are you, Shoreland Hills homeowners, right?
Yes. Shoreland Hills Property Owners Association.
So here's what I would suggest, is if there's an issue, you're not to speak for Larry, this is your meeting, but to move this along, because I don't want to get into the merits of any other.
No, I agree.
So I understand your position, but for me, my recommendation to you is to consider it, or deny it, you decide you don't have enough information and put it off and make a request for them for another day and allow you to do your due diligence too. So that we're not debating the merits today in the public.
Okay. Okay.
And make a, well, might I suggest before you move forward and entertain your second, the effect of your denial is they could appeal to the BZA, and then the BZA has the power to override a building commission decision. Not if there's not a decision, because there's not a decision to take them. If there's something that's in their purview.
Construction.
Absolutely.
So
Okay, now, I think maybe the best thing to do here is.
Well, you have a motion, so is there a second? Yeah.
somebody else was changing that to, table, that's fine.
I'll make a motion to table.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Joy, any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
So then, just for clarity from the applicant's standpoint, it's for them to look into their position on the ownership, and the town has one as well, or will have. Yes. So they're clear too. I want to make sure that he knows that you tabled it and didn't grant anything today, but yeah, what they're charged, if anything's expected of them, and or the town can make their determination, because it doesn't necessarily set this positive if he comes back to, again, this deed, because he's going to be able to produce a deed that says it's Shoreland Hills, and you have to satisfy your, so each side can.
You should have a date on
If they did.
it.
Okay, I think the best thing to do, I think the best thing to do here, Mick, is, and I'll just paraphrase everything I'm gonna say here, with the deck that they wanna do, with the expansion they wanna do on the deck, meets all of the town's ordinances, so I don't think that's gonna be an issue for us as the building commission. So if it's a question of ownership, then that's way above me. I mean, it's above us, I think, isn't it, Chris? I mean, so Mick would either come in with something and show us here, and then we can decide about the project, right?
That's assuming that the commission accepts what he provides, right? And so let's take it one step further. The building commission at another meeting says, we don't care, Mr. Wells, or we disagree respectfully, and here's what we have. You could vote to deny that application, then it would give them the freedom, or there could be further dialogue, and or maybe there's further dialogue in the next month before the next meeting to establish that issue.
But the issue.
Of course, can you get your deed or whatever?
But it does get to be ownership, so if this building commission decides the town owns, right, let's say your formal decision is it's an ownership issue, then you're gonna need the town council to participate in this process.
They would have to co-sign the application.
Okay.
But allow, but to be clear, if we provide a deed, then.
Right, so the project itself, I'm sorry.
No, I don't want to make anybody have any false pretenses that if you present the deed, I could present the deed that you're probably going to present, which is the last deed of record when you went through your closing. They may not accept that that answers the questions from long ago. You haven't owned it historically, for instance, since 1946. It was originally platted at some point, and then there was some dedications made. So the deed may not tell the whole story. It may. You can only do what you can do, right? And then they have to make a decision, and or whether it's properly before them, whether it's a matter before them, or whether they kick it to the town council and say it's more appropriate there. And you may want to approach the council as well.
I'll second, because I think the town should do our own research.
Okay, hold on.
Well, you've already tabled it, so that suffices, and then the council can pick up, put it on their agenda. I think that suffices for what your intention is.
Okay. Well, I guess that's clear as mud, so I think we'll have, you're gonna have to find out what you have on your end, then you're gonna have to, I'm assuming, present that to.
The town council, the building commission,
Four other.
Okay,
And it just because if we don't live permit, it doesn't mean that it's like that. That, it's like that, it's just one recommendation.
Okay. Fair enough.
thanks, Nick.
Thank you.
I'm gonna skip over the next one. 2216 Oriole Trail. No, yeah, 2216 Oriole Trail. Has everybody had a chance to see this? This is an existing carport that they want to convert to an enclosed garage.
I couldn't find an actual permit on this one, 2216 Oriole Trail.
I have it, I'll bring it up. Honor, do you have that to date that I can pull it up? Wait, here it is, here it is. Yeah.
I think I did see something that said it's not really to convert to living space, that it was to convert to a garage.
Right, that was my mistake. I said it was converted to living space. It actually doesn't make any difference if it's living space or garage from an ordinance standpoint, but this is the survey so that you can see, you know, zoom up a little bit more. Here's a survey. You can see here that the carport is on the top left of the building, center of the drawing. And it shows that there's 10 foot plus or minus on the east and 10 foot plus or minus on the west.
What's this plus and minus?
I don't know.
It's under.
I don't know who did the survey.
I don't have to sit here, people what been done previous, that was. I don't know.
What's that? Well, I have the survey up here, so, this was done 2022, it looks like oh no, that's his job number. 7/30/2022 is when he did the survey.
It should come out 8/28 or 24, came from the air.
That's why you can't find it, Honor wasn't here. So all of the work was inside of the house except for the carport, enclosing the carport, which had to come here because of enclosing the carport. The work inside the house, we approved. Deanna sent it out, Honor. That's why it was the day you weren't here. So Bob, your question is about the 10 foot plus or minus.
Yeah, we get that now, it's right on the setback.
The setbacks are 10 foot on each side, that's correct. And the front setback is 30 feet.
That is over the setback. The gain, and interpret the increasing the volume of the setback.
That's correct.
So I think it's critical to know 10 feet, 1 inch. And
This carport now, it's pretty much closed. I mean, it's, there's areas. Pillars.
Yeah.
There's a room above it.
Yeah, it's not, the house is above it. Ray Lang, 2216 Oriole Trail. Yeah, it's the carport was built underneath the second floor, and it's just literally removing the lattice and replacing it with siding and putting a garage door on the front of it.
Hold on, and I'll get you guys a picture. What's your address? 2216?
Yep. Yeah.
I make most of the approval, providing the setbacks on the 10 feet or more on either side.
But even if it's not, put it in the EPA one. They decided that, boy, that's the wall, and the structure of the window on one of the windows was it. I don't agree with that, but that's what they decided to pass.
Yeah.
That's what they decided. But we want to know precedent. We'll go probably is precedent.
Yeah, that's a bad word. Precedent to me, somebody's gonna sue me. Is there a second to that motion?
Motion, yeah.
Move to permit providing setbacks for 10 feet on either side of the house.
I'll second.
Okay, it's motion by Pete, seconded by Joy.
But if we decided that closing isn't increasing the volume of things, it's not performing, not, is that really different?
I mean, the thing is, if you look at the picture, it's already enclosed. So,
It's like a mistake.
All right, this is the house right here. So this is the carport. So the issue with us would be 10-foot setbacks. And unfortunately, your surveyor said 10 foot plus or minus. There's a building above it. So what Bob, and I'm interpreting to make sure I understand, what Bob is saying is there's already bottom there. Okay, does everybody understand that? All right, so, what's your motion?
We've got a motion already that says to approve it if it's within the setback. My thought is that we might be wise to leave that one in the simple.
Okay,
We don't need to create
right, all right. How would you amend that?
I'll make a motion to.
Okay, second?
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Thank you.
Thanks. Richmond? Okay, sorry. Our meetings usually aren't like this. Why are you here? Why are you saying that? I didn't talk to you. Okay. Okay. 1806 Richmond. I forgot what you wanted to do. Hold on, I'll bring it up.
So this is one better than they asked for existing and proposed sections. Did we get that?
Okay. Have you seen this, Carter? You've been out there? Okay. So here's the drawing. Do you have a survey? You don't have a survey with us.
Right, side plan. Two bedrooms.
So it's hard to tell from your drawing exactly what, for me, I don't know how, when we got this, but I didn't have a chance to look at it real well. You've got existing decks and an existing. Hold on, I'm gonna read your permit here. So it says existing back deck and patio paver area to be replaced with composite deck material. Approximate, within parentheses, new deck areas over existing hardscape, with some hardscape walk remaining, no increase of overall size of combined existing deck and patio. So what this, in our terms, is, yeah, that's not a bad idea. You want to hand those out? I'm sorry. Okay.
That's just one that I don't believe.
I keep. Well, I'll just pass this around. And I'll talk while you guys are looking. Let's see if I can pull you up on Beacon and see if that will help us.
I must extend it, the wooden deck, full over there.
Yes.
You're gonna go beyond that retaining one.
And it's not gonna go.
Here's the. I don't even, yeah.
Again, when you say approximate, we need to deal with exact, because that's kind of like a plus minus 10. So we need to know exactly. When we say approximately cover, you need to say exactly or cover less. It's gonna cover less. Or.
None of this is through the setback.
No, I'll show you here. It's, and then.
Motion to approve on that one, it's pretty straightforward.
Okay.
I'll second for the discussion.
Okay, here we go. I think this is about the extent of what I can zoom to. And from what I can see is this brown area. We look at that where we can. That brown area is where I'm showing where this is. Yeah, you might want to point it out. The brown area is the deck existing and you want to extend it this way, right?
Straightforward. Very straightforward. I mean,
Right.
I can't make it out of there.
I'm just, from what the drawing that you gave us, who has it? Whether there was
What's the red out? What is the red?
that's their lot. You had it kind of like a site plan, yeah. So what you're, I don't know if you can see it. So this is the house, which is right here. And this brown section, I'm gonna walk up there, show you here. Did you try to print it? Okay. So this is the house. This brown section, you can see on that drawing, is the deck. This gray section is the stone. So what they want to do is they want to take this deck and extend it over the stone. I mean, remove the stone and extend the deck. There's no encroachment on any back setback. This is staying the same. So is this and so is this.
Rest of it's one of the feelings.
Okay, so we have a motion in a second. Any more discussion?
No.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. I'll second. And I'm sorry about the length of the meeting here. I don't know why we don't have that on here. 2108 Avondale. Do you have that on it? Do you have a permit?
No, I'm trying to be.
But I mean, do you have an application? Did you put one in?
Do, yeah, this is everything that's large volume. So the issue that I was told was that it's gonna be a little bit smaller footprint of the existing deck, but it's a non-conforming because the front setback needs to be 30.
Oh, okay. I do.
I don't know, this one was, the house is about 0.75 feet from the front.
Let me see if I can find it. So do you guys all have this? I'm the only one that doesn't.
But it's gonna be small, in the way it's not.
Yeah, yes.
Okay, so the existing, let me see if I can pull.
When I talked to the homeowner, he said that the previous deck was permitted in, I believe, said April of 2008.
That was well before our time. That was when we didn't, I'm not even gonna say.
I should do that.
Yeah, my name's Alan Courtney, Terra for Construction.
Is that out on 820, did you say?
Yeah.
820.
It looks like we had a couple violations. Remember what those were for?
I'm just the contractor.
Oh, that was, so maybe the guy before you wasn't registered? And the building permit. But somebody paid $1,000.
Wasn't me. All I know is.
This guy before you.
Yeah.
But they're paid?
I don't know. I guess we should.
Okay. All right, so here's the issue here, or the issue here is, I'm sorry. So Avondale runs here on the left side of the paper, or left side of the screen. And the deck, this is a 30-foot setback from the lot line on Avondale to the house. So the house is not conforming. The deck, what you're saying is that these decks are a replacement of what is there.
Correct.
But is this back deck, is this new?
That is not going to be touched. Just the.
That's an existing deck?
Yeah, the cross dash red.
Okay.
Ones are gonna be replaced.
Well, and since it's remove and replace, it's not conforming, but it's grandfathered. And make a motion that we approve the permit, provided that the violation is the tickets are mitigated.
Okay,
I'll second that.
Anna's not here, I'm gonna have to ask you, oh, no, she can look at that, okay. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Just make sure that the tickets are paid, because you can't start until those tickets are paid, okay?
Sure, how do I find out if he has violations?
We should verify. Hopefully, we take it.
Yeah, you'd have to verify with the. Is that the clerk's office or the county's? Clerk's office, verify with the clerk's office, the tickets are paid. You can probably try to right now. And then just make sure that you provide proof to Carter that the tickets are paid, and then he can give you the permit. Parts. Okay?
I grab that back.
No.
Give me a permit out here.
All right, thanks.
All right,
We do that. Yeah, we do. I just, unfortunately, I didn't have, I don't know why I didn't print it. It got there. Okay, thanks.
Thanks.
You guys are here, these are the tickets. You guys are the guys with the ticket?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so just come up here. I'm gonna give you a little background here. Or give these guys, you have to tell us who you are.
Okay, Ron School from Michiana.
So this was 2013 Lake Shore Drive. Ron and Rich, sent in a permit to do some deck repair for the homeowner in 2013 Lake Shore Drive. They were told, you guys were told they had to register, and that didn't get done, so the permit didn't come out to us. Then there was some work that was started. And Carter, you stopped by, correct?
Yeah. Wine, so they were turning on the back deck. So I issued a ticket for them and also.
Well, to make it simple, the only thing Ron, I need to know is, Carter gave us the permit, which is fine, I understand that. But then, it came back to us and it said Floyd, so if it's Floyd, we're done.
Okay, so I'm not, this is above us. We have, and I'm gonna ask Chris to help us out here in a second. So when a ticket is written, and people call me about tickets, I don't know if you guys call me, I can't remember, but I don't know if you guys did or not, but people call me all the time and say, hey, I got a ticket, can you do something about it?
No, we didn't.
No, I'm not saying you did. I'm saying people call me all the time and say, can you, somebody I know, or somebody who thinks they know me or knows somebody here, say, can you do anything about this ticket? And when we issue tickets, it goes to what's called the fine bureau, which is the clerk's office. So I don't know, and I called Chris on this, and he gave me some advice, and I'll be honest with you, I forgot it. Would you?
I don't know what this issue is, so.
So the tickets were issued, and, I'm just gonna, these guys got fired, I guess.
I can kind of explain them.
Okay.
I don't need to know the whole story. Do you have before you what? The ticket, you just say voided. You have two tickets.
It said voided on.
Okay, who voided?
Is that 21 way or
2013.
What's the question?
No,
So the question is,
every time the bottom.
What is 2107? What's the 2106?
What's the question?
Well, we're confused.
Well, I'm confused.
We want to do what's right. If your girls who work here, put up on office, we are almost every day and do things.
What's the question? What's the question?
Okay, so this, we were given this permit, we owe $500 based on the violation. He, 500 for him, 500 for me, and the owner got $1,000. So we got ours back and it says void. So we want to know, do we dig in our wallet and give you $500 or do we not?
Well, why was it voided?
Well, there's an explanation. I think I was understanding that it was the owner's, we're not contract. It was the owner's responsibility to get the permit. We got the permit, we paid for the permit, but he didn't reimburse us. But he was supposed to do the rest of the work, get the bonding and get it registered out. So in the meantime, we checked the deck out and I noticed underneath the deck was a couple rotted joists supporting the screen porch on the deck. So I jumped to it and replaced them, and then when I went to the other side, what's his name? Carter came over and said, stop it. So what I did is I just shorted up and we left. So.
Are you a contractor?
No, we were just helping him. We were.
He's our neighbor.
I'm the neighbor.
He helped us.
He's the neighbor, and I'm his friend, and Chuck, the owner, asked if we could.
Where's Chuck?
Pardon?
Where's Chuck?
Where's he at? Oh, I don't know. I know he.
I make a motion before these two tickets. So they-
Because.
okay, can we do that?
This is the main television.
All right, hold on, don't get yourself in more trouble.
But there is this violation, where you were going with that is they could determine that. No, I think more importantly for you to consider is nobody's beating down your door and you have a ticket that says void. You don't need to be
All right,
here.
is there a second?
They shouldn't have to comply saying no.
Hold on, okay, stop. Is there a second?
I'll say that again.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
You're all set. Okay, last one. Oh, no, not the last one. Messages, don't help your neighbor and don't come in about your fines, nobody's collecting.
Yeah.
Next up is 2965 Ridge Road. This is remove and replace, windows in the entire house, as well as put a deck on the front of the house. This permit is from my company, so I'm gonna have to recuse myself, but I can certainly answer any questions you might have.
2965.
Yes. So I asked,
Who would be on for this?
Karstensen. Oh, I thought you were serious. The Karstens family. I can pull it up if you like.
I would move to approve.
Pardon me?
I would move to approve.
Okay. Oh, I can't do this, Bob.
Just to remove carbonate and stuff.
No, we already did that. We didn't get a permit. No, we did. Yeah. Want me to pull it up?
It would be good for me.
Yes, you have those.
We will be at 25.9.
That's correct.
Just need to cite. I want to get you or anything.
No, why do you think I'm not saying anything?
Well,
Well, that's funny. Oh, come on.
Yeah.
Okay, here's the coverage calculation. Description of the work. Okay, this is the site plan. It's 51 feet from the west property line. It's 16.74 feet from the east property line. And it's 100 foot from the north property line.
It's, well, yeah. Lakeshore Drive.
It's 100 feet from Lakeshore Drive and 75 from Ridge Road.
This is Hartsman's old home?
Yeah, it is.
I don't see any problems. Anybody see any problems?
I don't see any problem.
I'll entertain a motion to approve. Second. Okay, say aye.
Very bad all the time. And
Joy made a motion.
Oh, I'm the longest.
Okay, we have a motion in a second.
yeah.
All in favor, say aye.
Thank you. Okay.
Who's second?
Yeah, second, yes.
All right, back to you, Larry.
Okay. That's done, that's done. Yes. Do you have something for here? Or is it something you and I?
Was not on the agenda. This is 2903 Montclair. The Delma residents,
You already have a permit.
I have a permit. But neighbors, I met with neighbors to let them know what we're doing. Mr. Hallworth sent the email to the board.
Yeah, I saw that.
My client, Mr. Dunn, is very concerned. does not want to fight, doesn't, obviously.
Well, you have to come up to the mic first.
Sorry.
Unfortunately, there's people on and they record
So
these.
sorry, my apologies. Anyways, so we received a correspondence, as did the board from the Hog Works. Pursuant to that, my client and I spoke, he would like to move his house. So we're going to come back and board with a revised, the plan will be the same, but we're gonna adjust the site plan and end up doing our septic at the top, so that we're not anywhere near their homes. But as we're going through this, he's requested certain information from us regarding the steep slope ordinance, which, Larry, when you and I spoke, because we're not doing any sheet pilings, I didn't think it applied. And I think moving a house down the hill, actually helps everybody, because we're able to, move our driveway to the center of the lot rather than the edge, which I think that was a big concern, is if we required any retain, which I was hoping we wouldn't. I mean, I think the grade was such that we could get away without it. But my goal now will be, if we're able to do the septic in the front, we can move the driveway closer to the center of the driveway or the center of the lot, so there's no way that we're approaching.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Pete, what were you going to say?
Yeah, the one that we have, we permitted this in,
Yeah.
June.
So I looked at it. I actually, I think I can resolve this. So, just as Gary said, they have a permit. This is one with the dispersal field.
Right.
On Mount Clair Way. So we had, the owner record the conditions of the permit, and those conditions were that the dispersal area can't be used as parking, walkways, whatever, that you would adhere to the steep slope ordinance. I don't know if there was any other one. So after that, so we issued the permit.
Right.
And yes, we did receive an email from the Hobergs, but I don't know, I mean, I might have to ask Chris for some help here. We issued a permit and you said that you would comply with the ordinances. So if the neighbors are concerned, that's a civil matter, isn't it?
Well, but here's the thing, you can't provide security that Mr. Green and the gang are gonna do their job. It's expected that they're gonna do their job.
Right.
There's nothing that you can do. You presented plans, you had a variance, they approved your application as submitted. If you want to adjust that, that's up to you, whether that's an amended application, so you avoid having to refile or do whatever. But at the end of the day, what are you seeking from them?
The neighbors can't stop your permit.
No, I understand.
They may be able to.
If they want to know about
I think it.
The question relates to the nature of the steep slope ordinance. Where when you and I spoke, I said, I have no intention of doing sheet piles.
Right.
And you said that was the intent of that ordinance.
Right, the intent of the ordinance is on steep slopes that you have to contain the soil,
Right.
which is what I talked to you about.
Right.
And specifically, my concern was the east, I'm gonna call it the east side, where the driveway was. And on site, you and I talked and you said, I think we're gonna be able to do this. So and that's what we issued the permit based on.
And
So if you're gonna change that, you just have to come back to us with the revised.
I guess I want to seek clarification on the steep slope ordinance requirement, because I'm not
Do
putting.
you have a copy of the steep slope ordinance?
I do.
Okay.
So
it's for you to determine whether you think it. I mean, there's nothing
Well,
before the commission right
out
now.
of this-
You're asking, but you have nothing pending before the commission today.
Right.
Public comment, for instance, right? I mean, what do you want from them? That's what I'm at. What's the point? What are you asking for from them?
But he wants to move that, he's not moving the house. He's gotta get us all the permit.
Yeah, I will bring in, and the intent of that is to hopefully alleviate any of the concerns of the neighbors. But also, as it relates to your steep slope ordinance, there's specific things that I'm not quite sure that I understand how it applies to construction that does not have mechanical retainage. And that was my understanding is we agreed to the steep slopes ordinance at the time because we weren't intending to do any.
Right, the steep slope ordinance doesn't pertain just to steel sheet piling. The steep slope ordinance pertains to a lot that is over, I can't quote it off the top of my head, 34% grade. So if the lot's over 34% grade, the steep slope ordinance pertains to that lot. We wanted to make sure that you and I talked about that you understood that.
Right.
So if that means you have to put some retention or something in there, which you and I talked about, that's required under that ordinance. That ordinance isn't specific to steel sheet piling.
Okay, well, I have no intent of putting any retaining in other than the walls of the house. But again, because of the nature of the grade of this lot, I guess it does qualify. So do I need to hire an engineer?
Well,
I mean, to me, this is.
I'm gonna let Chris take.
Well, I think part of it, I mean, it's their discretion of whether they want to require that, right? They can't give you the security you'd like. If you want it overkill, then go hire an engineer and then you'll get that determination.
Yeah,
And then they'll see if it's gonna work and you present it to them. If they tell you they don't like your plan under that steep slope ordinance, I mean, I understand what you want, but you're.
No, I'm just seeking.
Never tell you.
The last thing what I want to do is be in front of the board with, you know, my goal is to make sure that before I dig a hole, and, you know, I cleared the lot, was prepared, I met with the neighbors, I tried to.
Don't think so.
Oh, no, I have no intention of digging a hole. And, well, certainly in the location that we had before, I have no intention of doing that. I will be back in before the next board meeting with a revised plan, location that allows us to move the house forward and certainly makes it a lot easier for me to say, I have no concern that you require retaining units.
Right, I'm gonna just agree or reiterate what Chris said. You know, we issued a permit based on what you provided to us, what you and I discussed, and we adhere to those three things or whatever they were. And
like the steep slope percentage, do you want that? It's 30 foot, right? Is that what you're
right, it's
trying to get to?
34%. So how you do that, that's you and the owner and whatever. And if the neighbors are upset, I misspoke, that, you know, they can't stop you. I didn't mean that they can't stop you. I think there's ways for them to, but help me out here, Chris, that your permit's valid. Right. If the neighbors are upset, what their relief, I guess, is to come to us, right? Is that what you're concerned about?
At this point in time, twofold.
Well, there's been a
clarification, and you've been able to clarify some of this, because I don't intend to retain any thing on site. I'm going to let the grade go as natural. That does not require me to hire an engineer. And now that you're saying, in order to comply, if I have concerns, I could overkill, hire an engineer, but sand is sand, you know what it does. So there's nothing an engineer's gonna tell me that we don't.
So, but that's, you just have to abide by the ordinances in your agreement with the owner. You just fulfill the construction. I mean, we're not gonna tell you, you know, I think we will never tell you how to do it.
Right.
Well, is there an engineering study that's required on this based on, if he submits a new application, because that is the overriding bit that you're contemplating, right?
Yeah.
Then you'll determine whether this applies, which says any building permit may be required to have an engineering study and do all of those.
And that's not exclusive to steep slope, that's anything.
You know, again, I'm just trying to seek a path forward that hopefully keeps myself, my client.
Well, and you have a fired up neighbor, so it's already abutting Hatfields and McCoys, and nobody wants that situation, lawsuits over it, and I understand that.
At this point in time, my client, by the time, you know, submittal is due later this month for the next month's hearing, he may say, I'm out, I don't know about it. So I just need to make sure that I give him good information and we're sure.
I mean, Gary, again, we can talk about this all day and I don't think we want to, but your obligation is to your client to build. Our obligation is to make sure that you follow the ordinances. I was concerned enough in talking with you that I wanted you to understand, and so that you could help the owner understand. Look, this is a steep slope. We may have problems on this east side. And, you know, that was the purpose here, is everybody agreed with it, so.
Unfortunately, I think the neighbors view this as a save the dunes kind of thing, which I think is kind of rich because they both are set on the dune on either side of the line, so.
That's a civil matter.
Yeah, I mean,
It's just, yeah, that's a civil matter. I don't think you want to say that.
but I do appreciate your time, Dad.
But just to go back to this question, as is, he's approved, and you guys didn't require an engineering study. If they move it, you may.
Right.
And if you make that determination, you'll give them the parameters under that code that they'll have to follow an engineering study or not, right? And then they'll be able to make an educated and informed decision from there. Perfect.
One last thing, I'll be out of your hair. 2003, Iowa Trail, we did remove the stairs. I again thought it might be able to.
He sent me a picture.
Out and then got it perfect in just a bit. Thank you so much.
All right. Gary, if I'd have known that you were here for that, I thought you said you wanted to just talk to me.
Well, I just,
All right. Okay. 20, sand plowing, stop 18 residents. So did everybody email I sent out? So I got an email about the concern that the DNR said that there's no permit from the DNR necessary. And this is just basic stuff for us. It's the jurisdiction. We have jurisdiction to the natural ordinary watermark, and we don't have jurisdiction after. Anybody that's doing anything from the natural ordinary watermark to Lakeshore Drive has to abide by the town Long Beach rules.
Yeah, nothing has changed from the other several times we've talked about it, but there are certain things or events or questions that heighten both sides of those who want to do projects or those that are concerned. So I think our best thing is to educate and remind people what requirements are that, you know, you doing anything in the town's jurisdiction, here's the permits that apply. We've summarized them before for people, and then paying attention, right? And then be ready to move on them if anybody decides to plow down the dune and remove all the, you know, vegetation, et cetera. But there's nothing that changes the town's position or authority there.
just to be clear, it's changing fund. So that would be our basis of saying that you can't do that.
I think there's various things, right? People have needing heavy equipment access to the town's, right, you know, stop. There's various things that potentially apply to these.
There used to be, we used to require a permit for any heavy equipment around the beach.
Yes, yeah, that's so. Although the last time this character did this, he did it with his tiny character. He might have been access to the beach to his own, but still, we can't change the fund. That seems to be the underlying thing, whether they bring something in the hell.
And being mindful of the vegetation, et cetera.
What really happens here is with the whole Gunderson suit and all the length of time and all that stuff took place, everybody's up in arms about it. But I mean, I've asked Chris for advice, and I've talked to the people at the DNR. Nothing has changed, but people have an odd sense of when they hear about the natural ordinary high watermark of ownership and jurisdiction. Nobody owns anything to this lakeside of the natural ordinary high watermark. And our jurisdiction starts at that and goes south. So anything they do has to have a permit from us. It has to comply with our ordinances. And I know that you're right, we talk about it a lot, but as Chris said, we need to try to help people understand that. Next is the definitions, discussions, decisions. You know, I think one of the best things to do maybe here, or I'm asking you guys, if we can break these into maybe 2 or 3 apiece, and actually have 1 or 2 individuals, maybe 3, work on these things and then bring them back so that we're, you know, with recommendations. Like Pete did real well in the dumpster ordinance, that's already done actually. So, you know, if we can do that, I think that might be a better idea. Then I don't think it's going to take us to the end of the year and we probably still won't get halfway through the list. So if we could, is that possible, Chris? I don't know, how do you do this?
There's a couple of, just the procedural agreement. One was item 8, beach stairs violations. We were going to check beach stairs violations. Is that enough?
No, I should say that I haven't done it. Right, no, that was last time it was done when Lou was here.
Okay. I will do that. If somebody, like, or can come with me and sign, yeah. Or just not, why, you tell me.
I suggest, you guys don't need them, because you need to talk to one of them, it needs to be on the site, one needs to be on the paper, and actually, yeah.
We will solve that, so Carter, call me and get it. You do that.
I thought the voice for you, Giselle, we sent that, APC sent that several months ago to, the police commission.
Has it been done?
No, yeah, I mean, I can remind them about
No,
it.
we'll do it, we don't.
Okay.
Let's see.
We could get rid of the parking ordinance if we just, I think we could get everyone to agree that if we just add whatever the designation is for the big trucks, a half-ton truck with no half-ton trucks with more than 4 tires in your driveway. I think we should add that to the existing ordinance and be done with that one, rather than adding all that other stuff. What?
It's not here.
One ton, yeah, I don't know.
Joy just wasn't permitted, the 1 ton, I think is what, that's
Okay, Joe, why don't you write that up?
Okay.
Okay, item number P, abolishing the plan review. Plan review, we charge $350 for, and it's just a pain in the ass. We end up, always having a dispute about, you only have to do this, you only have to do that. So I say we abolish the plan review.
Abolish the waste of time.
And we just basically, they present their, just like this, so they present their plan to the building commission, and then we decide this is wrong. It's not to say we can't give them advice, but once we give some encouragement, says, yeah, this sounds good, then the arguments start from that point. So I say we abolish it.
I just want, so you're saying that not going to be a plan?
No plan review. There'll be no plan review, no $350 Larry did.
Well, we had all it's helpful, and even though Larry and Carter and you, they're still gonna come to you and ask you for some things, and then appropriate to point them in the right directions and say, hey, I think this is probably, but what Larry and I talked about over time is, like today, he was Carter, you told me this, well, he certainly didn't say I approved this, and it's not her fault, that's just, she heard what she heard, she wants her project, and that's not a negative, but I think it takes out one more level of confusion, and that way, Larry's not on the hot seat for them to say, oh, you told me this, right?
Well, and what happens a lot of times is you guys, when they come in for a plan review, you guys on the building commission don't look at it like we do when it comes to a meeting. So, you know, I'd be honest to my wife, I don't know everything, you know. But having 6 sets of eyes on it, 7 sets of eyes helps. When somebody comes and somebody just brought one in, I forget, the McCusker. And I'm gonna have to talk to Honor, but they sent the thing out and there's 20 different, each individual PDFs. I'm not gonna open each one of those PDFs and go through it. You send me a PDF. So I agree with that. I think it's.
I'll make that motion.
Okay.
Okay, well, I'll write something up because it's in the ordinance, so I'll let you know.
Okay.
Well, I guess we should go around the committee, saying that we're paying.
Yeah.
We have to take the ordinance. So the town has to be one and more, so we've got.
Right, good idea.
But there,
Seconded?
I did.
it's a.
And so,
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
each other.
This is the plan review, right?
Let's talk about. Oh, I'm sorry, okay, going on here, the requirements for the site survey. And by who?
Right, that's a problem. and you guys even saw it today. And I know Chris has been after me on numerous occasions and said, don't bring applications to the board that aren't complete. And it would happen 2 or 3 times today and that's my fault. So a survey, I mean, something that's very obvious, and Chris, you're gonna have to help me. If we look at something and it's very obvious, there's no encroachments, whatever, do we say you have to bring a survey in? Or is it only ones that we have questions about?
I say, I want the land to vote since I say for increasing the footprint of the lot, of the structures on the lot, then a site survey is required. And perhaps, yeah, a site survey, not just a site plan, but a site survey. I know they're expensive, and stuff.
So can I, now that we're having this discussion and just some food for thought as you do it, in my private practice, this is one of the more difficult places to do anything, and maybe that's how you want it because you have a significant asset of the beach and the dunes and lots and houses. I rarely have ever got to have a state survey for anything. That doesn't mean you shouldn't. It just means what's important is that you verify that some verifiable way, and state survey is certainly the way, right? That is the top level that you can make sure of encroachments and lot lines and coverage and all of those things. But it's kind of like the BZA has discussed. Do we really want to notify everybody within 300 feet in a radius of, and there's some people spending $1,000 on certified mail to do a deck. So those are things, I'm not saying less of it, I'm just giving you food for thought of what is the best way, but right now I believe that right there, I think it says you may, I don't know if it is, yeah.
So
I do think it would be helpful to say when it is and isn't, because not everybody is required to bring a state survey, some get to do.
Right, so typically a survey, there's 2 surveys normally in a residential realm. There's a state, what's called a state survey. Everybody calls a state survey, where the surveyor comes out and he may be a block away, he's gonna find some common, well-known mark. And then he sets up from there, and when he does that, this is, what's up on the screen right now is a state survey. This, where he marks down, hold on. When he marks this little thing right here, when he says FD, that means he found a 1-inch rod. There was a pipe 0.33 feet south and 0.038 west of the actual point. So when that surveyor does that, he's already checked points. He's checked these points. This is 3 houses down, the point up here. So that's an exact. He puts his reputation on the line and says, this is where this is. And when we see that, it's pretty easy for us to make a determination. The next kind of survey that we see a lot is what's called a house location, a mortgage plat, a loan plat. And what it is, it's a surveyor, the same surveyor says to the bank, this house is on this property, and here's approximately where everything is at. The plus or minus that we saw in that survey, that was a house location. That wasn't a stake survey. So nobody's gone out and figured that, and he didn't pay for it. This survey, right now, depending on who you use, costs anywhere from $1,200 to $2,400. A house location is like $300, $400. That's the difference. And I think what Chris has maybe suggested to us is, if it's pretty obvious that we don't need that, I think that would be okay. But there are some, as Bob, as you mentioned, if this guy's that close to it.
So I think what might be important is to get 150-021. That gives the requirements of buildings, and actually the site plan is what's needed to do there more than anything. But that's the section I think you should pay attention to address what we do and don't. Maybe you want to shore those up, cut some of that out, and that doesn't sound, say, less words, but the same thing. So there's quite a list there, and I think that you do hold them. And still give yourself discretion, we need an engineering report, we need a total list that's required by other things, and I think you do have that control. But most of the time, there's site
This list. Yeah, all we need to do is determine what,
Yeah, well, typically, when I look at a permit application and I see the site plan, and I feel like I don't have enough information, I usually send out an email. And maybe when that is seen, I take a look at my.
That's typically what we do. And Onward, Carter and I meet, usually 3 or 4 days before this meeting. I think this week we've met on Tuesday. And we go through every permit that's gonna come before us. And, but it's very helpful if somebody has a question, because then after that meeting on Tuesday, Carter went out and talked to a couple of people. Honor got a hold of a couple of applicants and said, hey, we need this information to move forward. And that's important. And it goes back to the same thing about the plan review. It's better to have everyone here looking at what has to be done. So, I'll look at the site plan thing, and maybe Pete and I'll put something together about the surveys.
okay. Okay, the question, we get several of these things to talk about. Drive, I'm replacing the drive. As happened on Chestnut, and just the street. Replacing the drive, I mean, adding another 200 feet for the drive.
Right.
Not good, so we need an issue of, I believe, that somebody says they're replacing something. Either. And so the car look at it, say, okay, you're replacing the driver, put some stakes where the real driver is, and then go back and make sure they can move it. That's just a procedural thing. But it's not by any means the first time that's happened, where the driver gets significantly bigger.
No, and it's exactly what happened. And I explained to the homeowner at 2207 yesterday, the Carter was there. I said, look, you told us on this drawing that you're gonna remove and replace a driveway that's 10 foot 7 inches wide by whatever, I forgot the length. And when you go there right now, that driveway is 16, 18 feet wide.
Right.
And he said, well, yeah, but we uncovered that. And I said, it doesn't matter. You told us you were gonna do this. That's what you have permission to do. He said that they dug the grass up and there was a driveway there. But I told him that doesn't matter. Right, but I said, it doesn't matter to us. You told us what you were gonna do. And that's what happens. You guys have seen it. Somebody comes in and says, this is what I want to do. And then we go by it. The car goes by it. And all of a sudden the deck is out 26 more feet, or, you know, whatever. And that's getting more, that's happening more.
Okay, so my point is, when we get a permit and somebody says, just putting over existing structure, existing patio, driveway, then I would like Carter to be involved and somehow measure that before we approve the permit, and then afterwards we measure to make sure they follow that. Because that one on Chesterton, I mean, I just have to drive by and look, and I would get a permit to, that's not the same.
Maybe, when we do that new work order, we could do that one summer and have a chat that I authorized it.
Good.
Once.
That would be good.
Once it's,
Okay, display of permits. Does anybody display permits anymore? No. Therefore, if we don't have permit display, it's very difficult to track down, cousin Johnny and we. I think, and I'll volunteer to do this. Item number 2, where we review the permit application process. We make sure it's clear, I mean, changing any of the, requirements other than what we present as information, and make sure that the contractor signs off on that they read it. We used to have a cover sheet in there, they told them everything they needed to get. And then they come in and say, like, the one today, 26, Oregon, I never got this, I never got this.
And Pete, to your point, we talked about changing, and some of those were being held off until the software was done, so that you could update the overall collected. We were supposed to review the application because we wanted also, in addition to the contractor acknowledging, we wanted to put the homeowner on the hook, this, so that we couldn't have like, and it might have been valid, so that's not challenging what she said today. I'm not saying that there wasn't a stop work order, but in that instance, now we have both on the hook. The homeowner has acknowledged they know that they need registered contractors. They're responsible for ultimately making sure everything is paid and done properly. So part of that needs to work together, because some of that was being held off until the software was implemented so that that contract can be updated as well.
We have the opportunity we're doing right now, every week when we go through training, to change our application. We've changed that somewhat, but then there's what they call letters, which doesn't really mean anything to us. But there's actually a list on our website that says permit requirements, and it tells you everything that you have to do. I can guarantee you, outside of a handful of contractors, nobody runs. And that's the reason why this happens.
But if you make them sign in the future and check boxes, but I think to Pete's point, I mean, some of these we gotta start putting a date certain, because some of these things have been on here for months, right? And maybe, we could simply cut and paste that, put it in, from the website and send it to everybody, and people can redline. You're probably the first line of defense, because you know where you're going in the online application to make sure that they, but no matter what, there's still gonna be a certain segment of contractors, like maybe the two nice guy neighbors that are helping out today, who probably wanna touch paper versus doing anything electronic.
So we get into paper.
Right, we're getting rid of the paper. And what will happen is when you fill out an application, you go online, you pull an application up, and then there's boxes on that application. Some of those boxes, we have put an asterisk next to it, and your application won't go through unless you do that, which is a lot. There's a lot of things: name, address, contractor's name, address, phone number, drawings, on registration. You have to have the certificate of insurance, you have to have the bond, you have to have, I forgot what else there.
Okay.
And if you don't do that, it won't go through.
Okay, then that should take. If you're doing that on the process.
Easy for the police, that's something to do, that permit should be displayed or be.
I'll make a note here. I have to talk. They used to be really good about it, but then I think is because we, as the board, didn't say to them, hey, keep checking the permits.
Well, it should be displayed in the closest.
Right.
Then they know what.
So there still are paper permits then.
Yeah.
There still are.
There will always be, even when we go online, there will always be something that has to be posted in anonymous.
Okay, so some, yeah, so.
Right.
Yeah, I suggest that be number one on the front page of the application. This permit must be displayed focus here. So there's no question why I lost. Let's see what else.
Makes it easier for me to reach out to Carter and say, hey, what about my neighbors? Hey, turn in my neighbors.
Okay, let's see. The grant. Does anybody have a problem with the grant?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll have that and
I'll send you the note. Right, so, okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Things is whether
Ken?
Yeah, you brought a point up, which I agree with all these different PDF attachments and phone them quite expensive. Do we plan on using the queue or drop, so to speak, to put all these plans on a common resource that we need access? We do it in construction. We put all the plan files and so forth in Dropbox. And instead of emailing these things back and forth, we get access the service, so to speak, or whatever we get as a means to put all these plans in that, because a lot of this PDFs matter, storage on my computer and laptop like that. And, also, instead of sending large PDFs and so forth, all we have to do is send a link to the storage site representing the farms that we want.
We don't have that capability right now. We can ask, K, well, so we can ask K Plus if they could do something for us now. So what happens now, and I don't want to make a long story longer. So Honor, somebody brings something in, Honor takes it and stamps it in, whatever. So she's the receipt. We don't do the money, that goes to the town clerk. So then Honor sends those out to us individually. We can ask if, in addition to sending the email out, if K Plus can give us some storage space and have a common building department deal. When we get the new software, everybody on the building commission is gonna have an access. So you won't store any of that stuff. You're gonna go into iWorks server and you're gonna look at that stuff on iWorks server. If you want to download it, you'll be able to. We're just not that sophisticated right now, but I can ask, because it won't be until January, until we're probably online.
Okay, two last things. One, there was some discussion that someone who was going to look at what the definition of structure is. Did that ever happen?
We actually, that was a variance for you today. But we can send that out to that point, because I know you sort of mentioned at the outset of touching on these, the date's certain, so it's gonna be too late to send it to this month's APC meeting, but my suggestion is that, so for instance, the definition of structures and those changes, that we get them before the commission, at least a couple weeks before the next one, so that the APC, so that you as a commission can approve everything, right? Because the APC next will then pick these up and review them and start the process.
Well, did somebody come up with the definition?
I'll send out, it's really more of an amendment on some of the things, so, and then people can pick it apart from there, change it, add, whatever, make questions.
And the APC did this?
So, it was based on our discussions of the issues. I'll send it to you, Pete, and then I'll let you,
Okay,
direct it.
on the issue of staff. When we become some of those, we need to make sure that the person who's intended gets it. I don't think we should just take it to the garbage and or something like that. We need to give it to the person.
Well, I think we should post it and we should take pictures of it. We should memorialize it.
Historically, that's what we've done. And I'm not gonna put Carter on, asking if he's taking pictures of every one of them, but that's what, I used to do the staff work, and I always took a picture of it. And I think what we should do now, because we seem to have a problem, is,
Be like the Amazon driver.
well, and you know what, not only that,
Yeah, sure.
and we're gonna require emails, when you submit a permit,
Yeah.
there's gonna be an owner required email and the contractor required email. So if Carter or I or anybody goes out and issues a citation or a stop work order, it's not only gonna be posted physically, which they are now, it's going to be emailed to them.
Okay, so basically, we will make sure that the person is intended to look at it. And just we become one of these, I'll make sure we can't make a decision. Whenever someone is changing the footprint, like that, so supposedly recovering, existing coverage, the guard will walk and measure before, Yes. Good state, whatever is necessary. Heard this, we will do this. All right. Anybody else? On those. I'm done.
I have a quick question. Bree, is there any progress on that? It's just kind of stalled, right? Bree, so it just kind of stalled.
Well, the room three situation for me, and I don't know if everybody's aware of it, I'll give you a quick synopsis of what happened. Mark Swistek called me and said, hey, are you guys using room three? And I said, no, we haven't used it the next number of time. He said, well, do you need it for record storage? And I said, no, that stuff can come out. Mark said, hey, we've got somebody who's gonna pay for rent to use that building. And I said, yeah, that makes sense. Well, then Joe called me and said, well, you know, what you don't know is the town is charging the building commission $1,000 a month to rent room 3. And I said, well, that's nuts. That's paper money. You're not getting any real value on that. It moves the community center budget and then it taxes our budget. I don't care about it, but the reality is I think real money would be better. So I just said that we don't need it.
But I think last month, I think, well, you and I talked about, Joe said I need a month, so that's why I'm just asking, so nothing's been done in the month. Okay.
Oh, it hasn't. So do you want us to, I mean, Carter and I can go there with a truck and take the stuff out.
So what are we gonna do with it?
Put it in your house.
Chief has room in the public safety building, but there were also those 10 boxes that could be destroyed of the contractor's information. I mean, I can work with chief to figure out what's there and, you know, we have to just make a last email to Joe saying we have a month or two, so it's time to.
That's fine.
So I'm happy to work with chief.
Chris gave us the parameters of whatever's next, whoever looked at it.
I'll talk to chief about it and then maybe do an email so that we're all on the same page.
I said, Carter and I can go over and take the stuff out and bring it wherever you want. But yeah, I mean, unless anybody has an objection, I think it's silly. The road sits there.
Right, other than we don't need to move those 10 boxes of contractor stuff, if there's no need to keep them, I think that was one thing that was just like, we don't need to keep the contractor's registration for 10 years past, we don't care about this year.
Registration contractor.
And every contractor's registration and permit and everything else that's come through us in the last, how long have you been here, Honor? 2 years? 3 years is electronically stamped. And before that, everything that Deanna sent out to all of us is electronic. So
We'll work with Honor and go over there, if you wanted to, Honor, is that something you wanted to make? I would.
well, Chris,
Yeah.
Chris, our electronic documents are the same as paper.
Should, but we just need to make sure that this doesn't somehow set down. But look at everybody's.
Right, I'll let you start with that, I'll start with that. And we'll go from there.
Okay. Any other commission comments?
Disregarding that now, sort of about, I guess I'm. It's something, but no. You're allowed that doesn't have a lot of people to keep you away from the data. I think we need to address. People write about.
Yeah. You know, and I'm going to tell you, speaking as a contractor, and Ken would agree, what everybody does is try to get the biggest dumpster they can, because that's the cheapest way to do it. But if you can't fit it, you can get a smaller dumpster, and that is a problem. Especially in the summertime. There's a couple of them right now that I've asked several times. Since then, I've asked them to move it off the street. They've had space.
Yeah, well, I hear people, some people are just telling not doing that. And so it's hard and important,
Those benefits are the same as ours, right? 500,
right,
or they're small.
Well, I'm not sure that, I guess my thought is it needs to be removed, otherwise it's making days down. They need to get somebody to do it, especially since it's a safety issue.
One last safety issue, the fence on Chastleton, at Chastleton Avenue.
Yes.
As they put that fence in with no permit. It's in violation of its location, and there are never was another report. Other than that, some pretty good people. Are they able to be issued them a citation?
Stop work and a citation. Or there wasn't stop work there. That, well, I guess I'd have to ask you this. What's our next step? And we don't tell them to go like this.
But
And then, and it also, all right, also included that after 10 days, there'll be daily violations. You can,
Yeah, well, there. Right, should be damn, and it should.
Right, I met with them. They were to provide a survey, which they didn't. They provided a narrative, which I sent to everybody to explain their side. And then Carter went the next day. I didn't have a citation book, or I think it was a Monday that was Friday, and issued the citation. And,
there is no way there, like anything.
all right, so I'll get with Chris and we'll set a 10-day look, and then we'll probably have to take it down.
But mail it to the church.
Any other commission comments?
But wait, no, they need to get another citation. I mean, there was one argument that said, well, there's a fence there. There was no fence. And you can see that on the commentary. There's nothing fence. Yes, certainly.
Okay. Any other commission comments? Any comments on Zoom? Okay, Joy? Is that
Joy.
second?
Yes.
Bob? All those in favor?
Bye.
Okay, we're done.